Hey there YouTube, it's Jane. I'm a watercolor artist, and in today's video, which will be very casual, I will be talking about the practicing habit, about how I try to practice these days when there is very little time, and I'll be doing 2 portrait studies in a watercolor pencil. By the way, this technique is explained in greater detail in a real-time video on my Patreon. And I want to thank all my patrons for supporting me and for motivating me to create videos these days, even though it's crazy hard. And with that, let's get into today's video. So the main thought is how hard it is to find time to practice, or how hard it is to find time to actually do anything that you want to do. I probably don't have to tell you, because I would bet that like 95% of you don't have enough time for anything they want to do. And I am a full-time working mama. I have 2 kids. The youngest daughter is only 4 months old, and I also work full-time, or at least I'm trying. My work is kind of flexible, but still it is insanely hard to find time for anything. And even though I'm an artist and drawing and painting is something that I do for a living, I also need to find time to practice, to do studies, and to at least keep my skill at a certain level is very important for me. I'm trying to be the kind of person that always encourages everyone around to draw and paint, because I know that once somebody starts to really focus and gets into the practicing habit, then to pick up a drawing or painting skill doesn't actually take too long, maybe a couple of weeks. And then the drawings and paintings kind of starts to look nice, and it is so motivating that you are willing to skip other activities to practice more. But at the same time, when you stop practicing for a number of reasons, then your skill level can actually go backwards, and that's how I feel right now. It's been a long time since I felt like I've improved any of my techniques that I use regularly, and when I paint, I feel very distracted, and I'm sort of running on autopilot most of the time. And even though I am forced to do drawing and painting, which is great, mostly during weekends because of the live workshops that I do in my studio, and I need to do the live demos, and so there is rarely a week when I don't pick up a pencil or a brush. But still, there is not enough time to do studies throughout the week, and I feel right now I would need to do longer sessions and try to go for larger and more finished looking paintings to improve my technique further, and that's what I basically can't do and do not have time to do right now. For a few weeks I let this issue stress me out, and then I thought there must be something that I can do to at least keep my skill level and stop the going backwards situation from happening. And I discovered that a great way to practice is to do about 30-minute studies. The 30 minutes I find manageable, and I can find them almost every day, sometimes even an hour, and in that case I can fit in 2 studies. And I have 2 techniques that I sort of switch. First one I already presented on my YouTube channel, and I will link it down below if you want to see that one. It's monochromatic painting with watercolor, and the other one is using a watercolor pencil. And I love this technique. It's my new favorite because of how quick it is, and it also combines drawing and painting at the same time. So what you see me do now is to create a sketch and just draw some shadows with the pencil and then smudge it with clean water. It also allows me to layer, and so I can deepen things further. What I love about it is that I don't need a lot of tools, and I don't need my palette. It's just one watercolor pencil in a darker shade and then brush with a clean water. But you'd probably do great also with just a brush pen filled with water. And so it's kind of a minimal setup, but it works very well. It allows me to create some details and is even more interesting than what I usually do, because it combines the texture of a pencil with the watercolor abstractions. I can do splatters and to like make the drawing feel more lively. Not all of the abstraction techniques that work with watercolor would work with watercolor pencil, but I am yet to explore all the possibilities of this medium. And what I recommend is to use a small piece of paper. Like this one of mine is about A5 size, which is very small, and that's manageable, that's doable in 30 minutes. If you go larger, then you can fit in more details, but it's very hard to finish in 30 minutes. You'll probably play around with it for an hour, but for me right now this is a way to squeeze in some practice, to at least do something, and it's giving me at least some peace of mind once I see that I finished some studies throughout the week. By the way, for the last white details I did use white gouache, but I would have used probably the white gel pen if I had any around me at home when I was doing these studies. So if you like white highlights, then use anything that you have at hand. You don't need to use the gouache, but if I found out that I don't have a gel pen, this was the only thing that was around, and so I filled it in with a very tiny brush. The second study was even quicker, and I think that the second study took me about 20 minutes only. But it did not have a background, so the first one was to try out what the watercolor pencil technique would look like if I want a dark background. I'd like to ask you, and let me know in the comments, which one of these two studies do you like more, and if you also struggle with finding time to practice or finding time to do anything that you want to do, and how hard it is to manage your time. It would be great to get some tips from you guys, even though you only have 24 hours during the day. And sometimes I feel like it's not about time, it's about energy. That was my latest aha moment when I realized at 9 p.m. that I still have 2 hours that I could use to do something, but I feel so tired and exhausted that I just like sit on my chair and just stare at the television or something. Lastly, I want to mention the news that I have. I got a completely new filming setup, a couple of new microphones, and also a new camera and 2 lenses. And I'm not sure if that's what would interest you also, to know how I film the videos. Up until now, I used the very basic setup that did not require a lot of tools. But now with this new filming gear, I want to finish filming the Skillshare class. That's gonna happen in October and November. And I also tried to film more footage that is just like casual, and thought of doing more vlogs. So let me know what you think about that idea. And yeah, I wish you guys a great time, a great week, and hopefully you'll get to do things that you like to do this week, and I'll see you quite soon, I hope. And with that, I'm saying goodbye, so bye bye.